Imagine this. You're planning a bank robbery. No spontaneous decisions. Everything has to be precise and follow the plan. But what if the most ridiculous step in your operation was calling the bank and politely asking them to prepare the money in advance? It sounds absurd, but that's exactly what Albert Bailey did in Connecticut in March 2010. He didn't try to hide. He didn't try to cover his tracks. He simply picked up the phone and called the bank as if he were ordering a pizza. Connecticut, March 2010. Albert Bailey had decided to rob a bank, but he had his own unique approach. He wanted everything to go as smoothly as possible, with no unnecessary panic or confusion. Then he came up with what he believed was a brilliant idea. Why storm into a bank, scare people, and take risks if you could simply make arrangements ahead of time? So Bailey decided to call the bank branch and ask the employees to prepare the cash before his accomplice arrived. His thinking was simple. If the money was already ready to go, the robbery would be faster, easier, and less stressful for everyone involved. Albert dialed the bank's phone number and calmly explained his request. He spoke politely. There were no dramatic threats. He sounded more like a customer discussing a delivery than someone planning a crime. On the other end of the line, there was probably a moment of silence. The employees likely weren't sure whether this was a joke, but Bailey didn't notice. He was completely convinced that his logic was flawless. After the call, he instructed his young accomplice. The job seemed simple. Walk into the bank, collect the prepared money, leave. To make sure nothing went wrong, Bailey even wrote a note with detailed instructions explaining exactly what his partner should say and do. In his mind, he had thought of everything. Then came the big moment. The accomplice entered the bank carrying the note. He handed it to the teller as if it were an official document. But instead of bags full of cash, he was greeted by a very different audience: police officers. As it turned out, the bank employees had immediately contacted law enforcement after receiving the strange phone call. The police quickly understood what was happening and arranged a warm welcome for the would-be robbers. When the young accomplice walked through the door carrying a written set of instructions, officers arrested him with almost no resistance. It didn't take long for police to track down Albert Bailey as well. For law enforcement, the case was almost comical. The criminals had practically written out their entire plan for them. And to make things even easier, they had created written instructions to ensure nobody forgot any details. That note quickly became one of the most important pieces of evidence in the case. For Bailey, however, the consequences were anything but funny. His obsession with organization had worked against him. He tried so hard to make everything efficient that he essentially handed the police all the information they needed. This story could have remained just another strange criminal anecdote, but it actually reveals something much deeper. It perfectly illustrates how distorted reasoning can ruin even the most carefully planned operation. In systems analysis and decision-making theory, this is sometimes called the illusion of rationality. A person believes their actions are logical and efficient, but from the outside, those same actions appear to be a chain of obvious mistakes. Albert Bailey thought he was simplifying the robbery. In reality, he was making it incredibly easy for police to stop him. The story of Albert Bailey is not just a funny tale about an unsuccessful bank robber. It's a reminder that true effectiveness is not about obsessively organizing every detail. It's about understanding the situation, the context, and the likely consequences of your actions. Sometimes the solution that seems the most reasonable can become the biggest failure of all, simply because it is built on flawed assumptions. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling me about the most ridiculous plan you've ever seen, whether it came from a movie, a book, or real life. Maybe we'll break down your example in the next video.